What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight, it is October 3rd. We're going to be going over the waiver wire for week 5 here. It's not the best waiver wire that we've had so far this year, but there are some names that we're going to need to get to. And yeah, we're going to have questions on who we can be dropping at this point here. So I'm going to hop into a screen share here. I'm going to pull up the waiver wire report, but for the most part, I want you guys to get all your questions and everything answered. So we'll kind of just, go wherever the conversation goes. But so far, good evening to Harris. Hope you're doing well. Good evening to Daniel as well. And Harris comes out with, can we drop Pat Freiermuth? Oh, man. So it doesn't look good. I'm hoping that he can come back from his hamstring injury. At the moment right now, he is, let's see, the percent rostered tab here. They have Pat Freiermuth dropping pretty much here. He's down to 81.6% rostered here. He's been okay through the first few games, but the targets have not been there. 4, 1, 4, and 4. Only one usable game, I would say. Maybe the 7.3 is okay. I mean, he's not playing this weekend. He's got a bye week. He's maybe back for week 7 here, so it's probably okay to drop Pat Freiermuth. I think if I can hold on to him, I would, because he's probably going to get ruled out for this weekend, and then you can maybe leave him in your IR spot. But if you need to cut him to make moves for some of the guys we're going to talk about tonight, I think it's okay. Good evening to Justin. And yeah, Darren Waller, man, he is a pain in the ass right now. Not what we thought we were getting. He's somehow still ranked, though, as tight end 12. He's really only had one good game so far. The 8 targets was nice. But I think this is more of a function of the Giants' offense just being really, really bad. I'm not quite sure why he didn't get as much usage last night, especially with the way the Seahawks pass rush was getting to Daniel Jones. Like, they should have fired up a lot more of quick bullets to Darren Waller. But I do want to pull up last night's recap real quick. Let's take a peek at this, because the Giants, they have a lot of questions right now. Darren Waller did run 44 routes on 51 dropbacks. So, the usage is what we want. He's out there for pretty much every snap. He's running the most routes on the team, but just 3 targets. So I don't think Waller is done. The upcoming schedule, they get Miami, Buffalo. Those are some tougher games. And then Washington. If we look at the fantasy points allowed for these teams coming up here, let's look at that. It was Miami. Was it Washington and Buffalo? Miami, Buffalo, Washington. Let's see how they are against tight end. So the Miami Dolphins, they give up a lot of tight end points here. We also mentioned Buffalo. Buffalo is one of the better ones, and the Commanders are pretty good here too. So if Waller can't get it done in week 5 here, then I will officially probably bench him. But I'm going to give him one more week here. The guy I do want to talk about, guys, on the waiver wire here is Wan'Dale Robinson. He came out and ran 32 routes. That was the most that he's ran. This is his second game, but the fact that he hopped Paris Campbell for the slot role looks pretty good. He also led the Giants in targets. He also had a carry. He actually looked like the best player on the field for the Giants last night. So I was very encouraged with him. I think if you play in a PPR league, he's the guy that I want. Again, his first game back against San Francisco, he gets 4 for 21 on 5 targets. Not the best game, but they ramped him up, and he played well in a really bad matchup, or a really bad game. 5 for 40 and then 1 for 7 as a rusher. So if you play in a 12-team PPR league, I think Wan'Dale is the Giants receiver that we want for the rest of the season. And then honestly, I don't think any of the other Giants receivers are manageable or rosterable. Should we be worried about Dell's performance? I'm not too worried. I think it was more of just they didn't really need to throw the ball that much. He only had 3 targets. He still was, tied for the lead or for the Houston Texans lead in a routes run. So it still looks good for Tank Dell. I think we're just going to chalk this up as to a bad game. They still want to give him carries. But it was just a Nico day, and the Texans ran the ball 32 times with their running backs here. So I don't think it's going to be like this every game going forward. So hopefully Dell gets back on the good sides this week. Got the notes. Let's go with this guy. Thanks for hanging out. Good evening to Brian. Hope you're doing well. Who is the quarterback to stream for Herbert by? That is a great question. Let's take a look at some of these guys here for you. I'm going to assume most people over 70% rostered are gone. If you can get Brock Purdy, he's safe. He's super safe. But otherwise, I'm looking at Jordan Love at Las Vegas. That looks to me like one of the better streamers. I'm fine with CJ Stroud. It is at Atlanta. They are kind of average against the quarterbacks here. So I like Love. I like CJ Stroud. And then honestly, if we go down far here, Sam Howell against Chicago. I read a stat that he has finished very, very well in his first 5 games starting. I think he's been like a fringe QB1 in pretty much every game here. So I personally don't mind Sam Howell. If you look at the 3 games this year that he's put out, obviously he had a really bad game against Buffalo, but Buffalo tends to do that. But 15, 21, and 19, that's kind of your range of outcomes here. So if you want, if you want someone that should be available, it's Sam Howell. Otherwise, I'm gunning for CJ Stroud, Jordan Love. I don't hate Matthew Stafford. I think he's a decent play here, but some of those names should be doing it. Hey, I thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate it. Is Downs good only with Minshew? Let's take a look at that. I think I want to hold on to Downs. It wasn't a great passing outcome day for the Colts. Like, they only had 23 targets, which was a little bit weird. Downs is still running a lot of routes. Like, he's the clear number 3 in 3 wide receiver sets. So he's still on the field a good amount. I mean, he ran a route on 26 of their 30 dropbacks. So he's a part of the passing offense. And then it was just weird. Only 3 targets here. The tight ends had combined for 10 of the 23 targets here. So I'm still willing to hold on to Josh Downs. But I think he can be okay with Richardson. Brian, second on waivers. Good luck with that. Trade for Richardson or pick up a quarterback for the rest of the season. I mean, if you can buy Anthony Richardson, man, I think the jury's out. Like, we love Anthony Richardson. Dude's got 4 rushing touchdowns in 3 games. He actually is passing the ball pretty well. I think a lot better than people expected. It wasn't great last week, obviously, 44%. But my thing going into this year is if he can be around 55 to 60% completion percentage, he's going to be a good passer. So I'm still thinking he can hang, and we know he's got the rushing floor, and he's throwing for touchdowns right now. So if you can get Anthony Richardson, man, I'm willing to go do it. With Olave, yeah, that one, guys, I don't think Derek Carr should have played in this game. I think that was pretty stupid, honestly. To come and play with an AC joint sprain, 7 days after spraining it is not very smart. He did not look good throwing the ball at all. Olave still was out there for a ton, 35 routes, led the team in snaps, 6 targets, though, was a little bit concerning. I think it was just Derek Carr didn't really trust his pocket awareness and presence. Like, he was throwing the ball and dumping it off to Kamara. He wasn't really willing to take a hit or stay much in the pocket. So I think this was just a product of Derek Carr not being 100%, not wanting to get hit, dumping it off. I mean, 14 of 38 targets went to Alvin Kamara, which is just ridiculous. So I think Olave just kind of got lost in that. Obviously, 1 point, whatever points he got's not good, but I'm willing to be buying low on. I'm willing to buy low on Olave if you guys can pick him up in a trade. Your stash preference between Bigsby and Kareem Hunt. Bigsby and Kareem Hunt. Let's go look at that. Where is the Browns? All right. So Kareem Hunt in his second game, he only played 15 snaps with the team, 8 routes, 5 carries. I mean, either way, between these guys, like, they both need the starter to get hurt. I think Jerome Ford is pretty clearly the guy here, as well as ETN. So I think it's a preference call. If I had to choose one, I'm probably going to go with Bigsby. I think he's just a younger player that I'm willing to see what the upside is there. If we're looking for running back stashes, though, let's go to the let's go look at that. I mean, I think if you guys can still stash Gainwell, Roschon, Charbonnet, you want to be doing that. Tajay Spears for sure. But Chuba Hubbard, guys, is probably my favorite stash, and he's probably available in a lot of your leagues. He actually has been – he's been low-key outperforming Miles Sanders in pretty much every metric. And this past game, he had more snaps than Miles Sanders. He ran more routes. targets and carries, he was right there with him too. So this looks like it could be a 50-50 backfield going forward. If I show you the pie charts here, they still like Miles Sanders on the goal line and the 2-minute drill, but Chuba's the third down guy. Chuba's getting some short yardage work. I'm really, if you can stash Chuba, I think he's the guy that I really want to stash. And if I had anybody else here, I still think Kendre Miller and Bigsby like stashing rookie running backs, but we got to talk about Jaleel McLaughlin because I honestly think if you're to own one Denver Bronco running back the rest of the season, I think it's Jaleel. So he would be my priority waiver wire add this week if you can get him. Like I think he is a low end RB2 flex play for the rest of the season. You got the hip flexor for Javonte Williams. I would probably burn the number 1 or number 2 claim on him, or I would bid a decent amount here. Second on waivers, use it for McLaughlin. I think so. You got Bijan, Gibbs, Roschon can drop Quentin Johnson, Dotson, or Elijah Moore. Yeah, I think I'm fine dropping Elijah Moore here. Quentin Johnston and Dotson are both really good first-round talents. I want to see what those guys can do. I think Elijah Moore's profile is pretty easily replaceable off the waiver wire here. I don't love the Browns offense, and to hold them through a bye week, I think I'd rather just grab McLaughlin here. Rank those defenses for this week: Chiefs, Commanders, Lions, or Saints. Let's roll up over here. Chiefs, Commanders, Lions, or Saints. I'm going to rule out the Chiefs defense. If I go to the game totals here, the Chiefs and the Vikings, they just have the most implied points here, and the Vikings are projecting 24 points, which is a lot. So I'm going to rule out the Chiefs. Justin Jefferson's nothing to mess with. The Commanders, kind of like the Commanders call. Washington, they get Chicago. Chicago's projected to score only 19 points. There's going to be turnovers and there's going to be sacks. So Commanders make sense. Otherwise, I think the team you're looking for is probably I think it's the Lions. The Carolina Panthers are projected to score 17.75 points. That's the second fewest this weekend. So to me, Lions at home, they just absolutely harassed Jordan Love on Thursday Night Football last week. So to me, I think the Lions are number 1. I don't know why the New England Patriots are projected to win this game by 1.5, but they are against the Saints. So I'm going to go Lions, Saints, Commanders, Chiefs. That's how I would rank them, Daniel. Would you prioritize tight end or quarterback for this week? I mean, it's difficult. It really depends on who's out there for you. If you need to replace a Justin Herbert or whoever, then you should probably get your backup quarterback in there. As far as tight ends, though, there's some guys that are low owned that could be out there, whether it's Jake Ferguson. You know, if you need someone that can start the rest of the year, I think Jake Ferguson, I think I'm comfortable leaving him in there at least going forward. Same with Hunter Henry. He's looked pretty good. Zach Ertz has looked okay, and I think Cole Kmet has looked pretty good too. So, like, if you can lock in a starter for the rest of the season, I think you do it. If you're just adding a quarterback for the 1 week, I think I would prioritize the guy that's going to start more games for me long term. If you just need a quarterback for this week, like you can easily just get Sam Howell for free tomorrow morning, or even, you know, I don't hate Josh Dobbs. I don't hate CJ. You know, you can get some of these guys for free. A. Rich, Stroud, or Geno. Oh, it's Richardson. It goes Richardson, probably Stroud, then probably Geno, man. Ferguson or Ertz next 2 weeks, non-PPR. Ferguson or Ertz next 2 weeks. Let's take a look at that. Ferguson, let me go to the schedule here. Ferguson, well, he gets San Francisco and the Chargers. I think those are fun games to play him in. And then with Ertz, Cincinnati and the Rams. I'm probably going to lean Ferguson, man. If I look at the numbers real quick here, I believe Ferguson's like 8th in targets. All right, Ertz is actually number 2 in targets. Ferguson's right here. More receptions. Ferguson caught the touchdown. I'm going to lean Ferguson. I think I trust the Cowboys offense a little bit more there, Harris. Daniel says pick 2. Michael Wilson, Wandale, Gibson, Waller, Osborne, Sky, Downs, 0.5 PPR. If this is like to start somebody this week, I'm going with Wandale Robinson and Darren Waller probably. I'm going with the 2 Giants, which is scary. You can maybe throw out Michael Wilson. Maybe that's the move here. So I'll go Wandale and Michael Wilson. I just don't trust the other guys quite yet. What are some good defenses for this week? Again, we're going to pull these guys up here. So the way that this is filtered is by projected team total this weekend. So I'm looking at this column right here. So Baltimore is a good streamer. The Lions, the Commanders, the Dolphins, maybe the Falcons, the Patriots, maybe don't play the Broncos. But I think that's a good group right here. The Ravens, the Lions, the Commanders, the Dolphins, and maybe the Falcons. I don't hate the Green Bay Packers. Jimmy Garoppolo is prone to throw some interceptions. We're at 2-2, Sports Dog. Looking at Washington or Detroit for week 5. Cleveland didn't help. I'm sorry about that. Also looking at dropping Atwell for Jameson Williams, wide receiver, or Ferguson tight end. I'm going to go with Detroit. There were signs of life there for the Chicago Bears offense last weekend, so I'd rather go with Detroit at home. Bryce Young, it's just not looking good on offense for them. So I'm going to go Detroit. Also looking at dropping Atwell for Jameson Williams, wide receiver, or Ferguson, the tight end. I mean, it depends on who your other tight end is. If you need a starting tight end, I would say go get Ferguson. I think Jameson Williams is a stash play. I don't know if I'm going to, we're not starting him this weekend. I need to see what it looks like in his routes and his snaps and things like that. So personally, I'm probably going to go Ferguson. If he's a long-term starter for you, I'm going to prioritize getting the starter. Otherwise, I don't mind stashing Jameson Williams. Would you rather Gainwell or Tyler Algier, non-PPR? I'm going to prefer Gainwell in a non-PPR just because if anything happens to Swift, Gainwell becomes a must-start player. I feel more confident in Bijan Robinson staying healthy than I do DeAndre Swift. So if anything happens to Swift, Gainwell's entering our starting lineups. I'm still not sold on Algier yet, and it's the Philadelphia offense. So I'm going to break ties for that. Stroud on waivers have T-Law and A-Rich. Should I add Stroud and trade T-Law? I mean, if you have someone to buy them, yeah. It's a tough game this weekend for Buffalo, against Buffalo. I think you're going to be starting Anthony Richardson every week that he's healthy. So, I mean, if you have a buyer for Trevor, do it. My RBs are Eckler, Bijan, Monty, and Kamara, but I'm bad at receiver. Is it worth sending one of them for Waddle, 0.5 PPR? I think so. I would probably send Alvin Kamara because in a half PPR, he doesn't have as much value that he would in a full PPR. I think Monty's perfect. Bijan's perfect for half PPR. Eckler is the uber stud here. But if you can flip Kamara off of his first game back, I think I would do it. Should I pick up another quarterback to compete with Joe Burrow? Probably. I mean, I think this weekend I'm starting, Jordan Love over Joe Burrow, names like that. If you can grab a Jordan Love or even a Brock Purdy, honestly, and ride it out. I do think there's hope soon for the Bengals and Jamar Chase and Mixon. I think there's hope for these guys. They really just need to get to the bye week, I think. If they can kind of figure it out for the next couple games. Let's see their schedule here. Joe Burrow. They get Arizona this weekend. That's not a bad spot. And then they get Seattle. So I'm not super scared of these defenses. I think if we can keep Joe Burrow healthy, get him ready for San Francisco and Buffalo. Those are tough games here, but he needs to get healthy for these two games. Matt C., thanks for hanging out. I offered Jahmyr Gibbs and Marquise Brown for Eckler. Is that a disrespectful trade offer? If it is, I could add Davis too. Let's take a look at that. Let's go to the Roto trade real quick. And I use several different trade calculators when I look for trades, but I like this one just to kind of dial things in. So Marquise Brown and oh, my bad. That's Marquise Brown on the other side. And redraft PPR 1 QB. Let's do it. It's not a disrespectful offer at all. I think it's pretty fair. If you use other calculators, maybe it says differently, but Eckler's hurt right now. He's also on bye. So Marquise Brown looks like a startable wide receiver 3. If this guy needed 2 starters for his, injured Austin Eckler, I think that I'm open to it. I don't know if I would add Gabe Davis to it if that's what it takes and your depth is still okay at wide receiver. I think if you got to do what you got to do, I'm okay with it. But it feels like adding Gabe Davis might tip the scales a little bit too much. If he could send me back another, if you can get a lesser, like another player added to it on his side, I think I'm more open to it. Should I drop downs for one of them? Michael Wilson? Is that Jameson Williams, McLaughlin, Wan'Dale Robinson? Yes. I would, yes, Daniel, we're going to do that. If you need running back, I really like adding McLaughlin. He's the guy that I'm going to try and add in a lot of my leagues this weekend. Not necessarily going to start him against the Jets, but I like what I've seen from him so far, and I think the Broncos do too. So McLaughlin makes the most sense. If you're trying to just add another wide receiver, personally, the guy that I'd rather have here is Wan'Dale Robinson. I think Jameson Williams is, I don't want to be mean, but I think he's kind of like a Marquez Valdez-Scantling type. I think he's more so just like a deep threat. I'm not really sure he's an elite route runner that can do all the routes that are asked of him, and he tends to get injured. It just always seems to be something with Jameson Williams, whereas Wan'Dale Robinson, he looks like the best part of the offense right now for the Giants. So I like his high floor. Jameson Williams, yeah, he could go out and get a big touchdown every week, but he could also go out and get one for nothing, And then Wilson, I like Wilson. I think there's some excitement around the Cardinals offense. So if you want a home run threat, I think I'm taking Wilson. If you want the safe flex floor play, it's Wan'Dale. Otherwise, I think it's McLaughlin for me if you need more running back help. Would you trade for Richardson or pick up CJ Stroud? My quarterback is Justin Fields, and I have Dameon Pierce and Nico Collins. I mean, I think Justin Fields is going to be fine. He showed us a lot of he relieved a lot of stress this weekend for Fields owners because that's what we were expecting from him. So I think you're okay with Justin Fields. It really depends on who you be trading. You have Dameon Pierce and Nico Collins. I don't know if you need to dip, all the way in with CJ Stroud then if you have that much on offense. For the Texans, you'd have to trade some of those guys away maybe. You don't want to, be too heavily involved in that offense. So maybe. I mean, it depends. It depends on who you're trading to get Richardson there. You can drop Treylon Burks, but I think in a 10-man league, I'm fine with it. In a 12-man league, I'm trying to hold on to him. I can get Anthony Richardson. I need the details there, Harris. If you can get Anthony Richardson, I'm going to say do it. Romeo Doubs and C. Wilson. C. Wilson. Who's Wilson? Am I crazy here? Is that Garrett Wilson? I'm not sure who that is there. Romeo Doubs and C. Wilson. Is that Watson? I'm not sure, man. Mike, thanks for hanging out. PPR, 1 QB, 3 receivers, 1 flex. Would you trade away AR-15 and Pittman for Chase or Love plus Watson for Waddle? My other QBs, Fields, Love. My other receivers, JJ, Ridley, Pickens, WA. So 1 QB, 3 receivers, and 1 flex. Would you trade away AR-15 and Pittman for Chase? Wait, so you have 3 QBs? Interesting. This is a lot to decipher. Or Love plus Watson for Waddle. My other QBs are Fields and Love. My other receivers are Justin Jefferson, Ridley, Pickens, and I believe that's Watson. I'm not sure. This is a tough one here. It looks like it got cut off here. Let me try and read this here. So we're saying my other receivers are JJ, Ridley, Pickens, Watson, London, and Pittman. No, I think I want to hold on to Anthony Richardson. I think the guy I'm more interested in selling is probably Justin Fields, just because it's the Bears. So I would hold on to Richardson if I can. I do like where you're going though in buying Jamar Chase. Like if you could sell Fields plus, offer any receiver there not named Justin Jefferson, I would do Fields in Fields and Ridley for Chase. I would do Fields and Watson for Chase. I think along those lines, but I want to keep Anthony Richardson. I think he's the guy you want long term there, Mike. Let me see where we left off here. Problem having both GB receivers? No, I don't think so. I've gotten that question a couple times. I mean, I think you're going to want to start a Green Bay receiver every week at this point, and the chances that Watson gets hurt again, or even Dobbs, like these guys have both been injured in the past. So I think it's okay to have both receivers, Mark Andrews or Anthony Richardson, in a trade. PPR. If you need a starting tight end, like I need more context there, Harris. Mark, like they're both great, but it depends on my needs. Rank PPR rest of season: Addison, Romeo, Quentin, Dotson. I'm gonna go Romeo, Addison, Dotson, Quentin Johnston. How much should I pay? Should I pay for Mitchell Trubisky? I wouldn't pay much. It sounds like Kenny Pickett has a chance to play this weekend. And I know they're on bye next weekend, so in all likelihood, you're only going to get one game out of Trubisky here. So I wouldn't pay more than $5 for Trubisky. Good night, Daniel. Enjoy only 7 to 1K, man. We're so close. We're so close. Enjoy the rest of your evening, Daniel. Would you start McLaughlin with Javonte out or start Algier? I'm not sure if Javonte is going to be in or out, but I think I would play McLaughlin over Algier anyways, even if Javonte plays. McLaughlin he's a borderline starter this week. I know it's a tough matchup against the Jets. The Jets do decently on defense in terms of running back points allowed. That's like one of their things that they allow. They actually allow teams to run on them. So it's not a bad spot to start your Denver running backs. And you can see here, the Jets defense allows running back and tight end points here. So I actually think McLaughlin could be a fringe RB2 flex play if you really, really, really needed a running back starter this week here. Spears or Roschon, PPR. If I'm starting one this weekend, I think I'm starting Spears, and I still think long-term Roschon, they're both really good long-term plays. I think I'd rather have Tajay Spears right now, though, just because he has a clear role. If I had to start one guy, I'm going to start Spears. No problem, Mike. Thanks for hanging out. Good evening to Ryan. Trubisky or Desmond Ridder for a stash? For a stash, you should be looking at Taylor Heineke. I don't think Ritter's going to be hanging out much longer. But I don't want to stash either one of them, Harris. I think Dobbs, you're probably, I'm curious if you're looking at the Fun League. I'm wondering if that's where this is going. I just want to see who's available here. If you're stashing somebody, Trubisky I don't think is worth a stash. If I'm stashing somebody, it's probably Taylor Heineke. Not for a stash. Okay, then you got to go with Trubisky. I think you got to go with Trubisky. It's a tough game at Baltimore, but I think I'm going with Trubisky. Let's see, the Texans. Texans are sneaky good. Texans are pretty good against the quarterback right now. I don't know if I want to mess with the Texans. And Ridder just doesn't throw the ball enough. Arizona receiver, Michael Wilson. C. Wilson, Michael Wilson. Got it. Good evening to Aiden. In his 16-man, I'm getting offered Debo, B-Rob, and White for Keenan and Javonte. I mean, obviously, Keenan's the upgrade over Debo. Brian's the upgrade over Javonte, but you still have White. I think I'm holding on to Keenan Allen. He's the best player of the group here. If you need the depth, though, I do like Debo. I like Brian Robinson. I don't know if Rashad White's enough for me to get rid of And I don't think Rashad White's enough for me to get rid of Keenan Allen. Drop Downs or Dell. Definitely Downs. Hold on to Dell. Tank Dell is good. Josh Downs is not in an ideal situation. I do want to look real quick here for Aiden and see. I just want to see the weight of things. Debo. I think this trade is going to probably like the 3-man deal here, Aiden. I don't want to get rid of Keenan, you know? Curious what this looks like here. Yeah, it's saying this is the heavy side here. You're getting a ton of value for Keenan Allen here. So that one's a tough one, Aiden. I think I might have to do it. My 16 team, my team in that league is Hurts, Keenan, Watson, Javonte, Roshan, Hurts. I think it makes your team better. I think it makes your team better. 12-team half PPR. We are 4-0. Fantastic, man. Team is Lamar. Running backs are Swift and Bijan. James Cook, Jameer. Fantastic running back group. Keenan, Ridley, Gabe, Marquise, tight end Ferguson. You think I should hold back from trades? So I tend to hate trades, guys. I personally don't really offer a lot of trades. When people come to me, I will listen to trades. But when you're 4-0, man, and you have the depth, you have the power, you know, things can change pretty quickly around here. You know, I don't want to say anybody's going to get hurt or anything like that, but you're one injury away from needing that next running back or wide receiver. So to me, my team is only as good as my bench is. So I'm constantly adding, you know, through free agency and the waiver wire to improve my bench. And that should continue to bubble up and make my team better here. So Matt, I think you're in the driver's seat at 4-0. You got to keep in mind, man, there's like 10 games left of the regular season for fantasy, and then we got to get to the playoffs here. So to me, I want to hoard as many good players as I have as I can, you know, because whoever's starting for us right now, they might not be starting for us in week 15. We want to make sure we hold on to as many good pieces as we can. So for me, Matt, I think I'm staying put. This team sounds really good. I like the depth, man. I think you're going to continue riding out that 4-0 team. How much should I go for Miami Dolphins? I mean, if it's just a 1 week start, I wouldn't really spend a lot of money on them. No more than, you know, $3, $4, $5 at the most. It's tough to drop Keenan Allen, man. I think Debo is a big downgrade to Keenan. You get B-Rob and White, which are nice starters, but I think I'm going to keep Keenan. You can drop both, honestly, Harris. They're both droppable. If for being honest here, they're both droppable unless an injury happens to someone above them. Start Gibbs or McLaughlin if Javonte out. We're starting Gibbs. We're starting Gibbs against the Panthers. Carolina, one of the worst teams against running back right now. They've allowed 6 rushing touchdowns. They've given up a handful of points here. They give up about 30 PPR points to the running back position. So, I mean, we could even give, you know, Monty 18 and Gibbs 12. I feel safe with Jahmyr Gibbs here. He's got a high floor. I trust him to at least be on the field getting touches. So I'm going to go with Gibbs there, Brian. Rather start Kincaid or Ferguson. We're going with Ferguson. And I know it's a tough matchup. The 49ers, one of the better defenses here, but they've allowed 35 catches or 17 catches to 120 yards and a touchdown to the tight end. That's 8.75 points. You know, Jacksonville, they've allowed 2 touchdowns to tight ends. They're allowing a decent amount of points here, but one, it's a London game. I don't really trust London games to begin with, and he's still splitting time with Knox. So I'm going to lean with Ferguson there, Ryan. Thing in that league is we have bonus. Keenan has 108, Javonte has 30. Yeah, keep Keenan Allen. Who would you rather drop? If I had to drop one, gun to my head, I'm dropping Algier. What do you think of this trade I made today? Traded away Tutu for Pitts. Feels weird. I don't hate the buy low on Kyle Pitts. I think Tutu is going to be, you know, pretty unpredictable. He's going to be hard to start in their lineups when Cooper Kupp returns. So I don't mind it. I mean, you're basically cashing in a waiver wire pickup for a guy that was drafted in the 7th or 8th round. So I don't mind it. Don't mind it at all there, Mike. Sports Dog says he's got Dobbs, Watson, and Aaron Jones. They play Monday night. I know I'll start Jones, but unsure if Watson or Dobbs get the start. Any idea who would be the better receiver? I'll tell you what, man. I think I'm comfortable just playing Romeo Dobbs. From a boom bust factor, like clearly Christian Watson has a really high ceiling yet, but we're yet to see it this year yet. He did catch the touchdown, but there's also the chance for re-aggravation with the hamstring. Just I kind of need to see it from Christian Watson a little bit more. Whereas right now, man, like Romeo Dobbs is showing us that he's got really good chemistry with J Love. I think if I had to start one right now between the two, I'm going to start Romeo Dobbs. He looks like the target leader there. Yeah, Aiden, I'm kind of with you. I think guys, this is how I think the Broncos backfield is going to look going forward. I think Jaleel McLaughlin's going to be their back that, is in between the 20s. He's going to be the guy that gets the most touches, I think. And when they do get near the red zone or need short yardage situations, it's going to be Javonte or Pirine. But I think right now the guy that has the most juice is Jaleel McLaughlin. They want to get him the ball probably 10 to 12 times per game here. So I think that's where I'm headed. And no problem, Mike. Itty bitty South City 650. We're back. Good to see you, man. My running backs are Kyron, Achan, Brees, Najee, Roshan. Woo! Jay Taylor was just dropped. Should I use my number 4 claim on him? Yes. Yes. Wow. Yes. I don't care how good your running backs are. Go get Jonathan Taylor. That's insane. I would get rid of Pirine before I get rid of Javonte, Aiden. Pick up Marquise Brown or Michael Thomas, non-PPR. I'm going to pick up Marquise Brown just because he's the clear number 1 on his team, whereas Michael Thomas is behind Olave. We'll go Marquise Brown there, Harris. Got offered Ramondre for Christian Watson. Nope, not doing it, Ryan. It doesn't look good for Ramondre, and I still want to see what Christian Watson has up his sleeve yet this year. Have you guys seen the Packers schedule the rest of the season? It looks like, honestly, I think if you guys could be buying Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, hell, even Luke Musgrave. Look at the upcoming schedule for the Packers. They're going to get the Raiders this week on Monday night, bye week, and then they come out and get Denver, Minnesota, the Rams, the Steelers, the Chargers. Tough games with Detroit and Kansas City, but then they finish with New York, Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Minnesota. This is a really nice schedule. Like I'm thinking Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, Jordan Love, like these guys can be assets that get us and help us win a championship this year. Would you trade Hurts and Javonte Pirine for Lamar, Pierce, and Myers? Yes. Yes, I would, Aiden. Receivers are Chase, Devonta, DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, Dotson, Rice. Should I use that waiver on a receiver like Michael Wilson? No, dude, you got to go get Jonathan Taylor. You got to use – Michael Wilson's fine. I think he's fine but you're not going to be starting Michael Wilson over your top 3 receivers. I think I'm still starting Elijah Moore or Dotson over Michael Wilson. So I'm using my number 4 claim on Jonathan Taylor. You can get rid of Roshan. He's a good stash, but Jonathan Taylor's a better stash. Packers are drop Algier or Drake London on PPR. I'm going to drop Algier. It's pretty simple for me. Who's the bigger piece of the offense right now? It's Drake London compared to Algier. This is a 14. Wow. Okay. Why did Jonathan Taylor get cut the week he starts practicing? Insane. I haven't heard much on Dulcich. I did add him on my waiver wire report though, Harris, because Broncos need some playmakers, and tight end is such a weird position where if you need one, like I'm open to stashing Greg Dulcich. So typically, I think what you see is when players come back, they get activated to practice that week, and they typically miss that first game back. So maybe we see Greg Dulcich by week 7 at the latest. Slight chance he plays week 6, though. We're going to find out together. I do want to just look around and see if there's any other players that need to be added. Again, I like Wandale. I like Michael Wilson. Let's see who else we can find here at the wide receiver position. I mean, Nico Collins is just absolutely amazing right now. He's one of the better plays. Tyler Boyd should probably be picked up in most 12-team leagues. He's seen 9, 8, and 7 targets in the last 3 games here. So he has a range of like, a 6 to 11 point floor. I don't hate Tyler Boyd, especially with T. Higgins dinged up right now. Tank Dell needs to be rostered. Tyler Boyd. Why is Romeo Doubs 34% rostered? I just don't get it. He did have one bad game against Atlanta, but otherwise he's been pretty baller. 12 and 13 targets the last 2 games. Like Romeo Doubs, man, he might be a must-start player the rest of the way. Zay Jones might be back this week. I know he disappointed everybody, week 2. He did have 6 targets in that game, though. Zay Jones is worth a stash for sure. I still want to stash Rashee Rice if you can. Jaden Reed belongs as a stash as well. He's had a pretty nice floor the last 3 games of 9 and 10 points, 5 to 7 targets. I know Watson's going to get healthier, but it does look like Jordan Love can hang and he can support multiple wide receivers. Yeah, it's getting pretty ugly now that we get this far. I do want to just look at running backs real quick as well. Khalil Herbert should be picked up. Gus Edwards actually got a lot of work last weekend. He had 15 carries for 48 yards. He also got 2 receptions for a yard here. If you're in a desperation running back spot, Pittsburgh has been giving up running back points here, so I don't hate Gus Edwards. Tajay Spears, man, like he's starting to look borderline RB2 flexy. 3-4 points is his floor, but 7 to 8 points right now. If he can consistently hit 7 to 8 points, I think we're looking at something pretty decent there. This one's Dobbs rest of season there, Brian. Would you add McLaughlin and drop Samaje? Hell yes. Yes. It doesn't look good for Samaje Perine, guys. My bad. Samaje Perine had his chance last weekend with Javonte going down, and he did not seize it. Jaleel McLaughlin seized it. So I'm trying to add Jaleel anywhere that I can. I think the Broncos are pretty excited to get him going. Only 7 for 72, but he was the reason why they were able to come back in that game. 3 for 32 as a receiver, 1 touchdown. I mean, if they give him 10 touches a game, man, I'm getting pretty much excited. How much would I pay? Luckily he's pretty low like projection points right now. I think I'd be willing to pay upwards of $12 to $15 for him, but if your league mates and no one's really looking at Jaleel, or if you think you can sneak him for $9 or $10, I think I'm fine with that. But I'm personally willing to spend low teens on Jaleel McLaughlin. I mean, I think he's a borderline RB2 as soon as this weekend. They're going to get where'd he go? Where's the schedule here? I lost it. The Broncos schedule coming up. They're going to get the Chiefs, the Jets, the Packers, the Chiefs. It's a tough schedule coming out here, but I do think that Jaleel is going to start getting more and more touches as the season evolves. But get your final questions in, guys. We are going to be hanging out tomorrow evening live, 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to do start sit. I did get all of my start sit charts up and ready to go for you guys. I'll be updating these tomorrow morning with, whatever practice report updates we have going on here, but they're all up there for now. So take a peek at it. Bears Commanders Thursday Night Football. I think Sam Howell might be starting in one of my lineups or two. But all the start sit charts are there for you guys. If you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe. We're so close to 1,000 subs. So I would love it if you guys were new and wanted to subscribe to the channel. But otherwise, I'm going to get out of here for the evening, guys. This was a lot of fun. We do this every Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to do the same thing tomorrow night. Start sit program, 7 p.m. tomorrow night. I missed out on Achane by one team this week is pretty weak, in my opinion, except for a couple of receivers. Yeah, and I think when I've I mean, we've played fantasy football forever, right? I think what I'm learning is we want to be a little bit more aggressive early in the season. You always want to make sure, especially if you play with free agent auction budgets, like if you're bidding, you want to save some cash, but it makes a lot of sense to try and get, these players early. But now we have to start being a week ahead on players here. So I think I'm going to try and work on a list of players to stash preemptively because I've missed out on some of these guys. I've been thinking about stashing Jaleel. I've been thinking about stashing Wandale. So I need to start, adding these guys before they pop off or get put on the waiver wire for next weekend. But that's going to do it for me, guys. We'll see you tomorrow evening. Good luck with your waiver claims. Join the Discord if you need more questions answered. The link in the description. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Peace.